Hi, good morning. I'm here today with my two boys, Louis and Luke, and we'd like to share with you our devotional thoughts, something we've been talking about over the past couple of days, and it's about the story of Jesus when he was on the lake. Louis, can you tell us what happened?
So Jesus has been preaching for nearly all of the day, and he and a few disciples are going to cross to the other side of the lake. They're all in the boat. They sail out to the middle of the sea, and Jesus is tired, so he goes underneath the deck to go sleep. They're having a great time enjoying the breeze and the sunshine. All of a sudden, the sky goes dark, and there's lots of wind and waves, all crashing against the boat. A lot of the water went inside the boat. They could have sunk if it wasn't for Jesus. One of the disciples said, "Why shouldn't we call our teacher? Maybe he can help." So one of them goes down and calls to Jesus. It says, "Master, Master, we are about to sink. Please help us." And Jesus says, "I'm coming." He comes to the top of the boat and he starts walking. He looks at the water and says, "Peace, be still." All of the disciples are like, "Wow, did you see that? A man talks to the water and it stops." They were all shocked, and they were praising and giving thanks, saying, "Thank you, Master. You've saved us."
Wow, Louis, that's a really amazing story. You know, Jesus sleeping in a boat in the middle of a storm. That's unheard of, isn't it? And you see, that helps us to understand something about God, something about Jesus. You see, because Jesus had a really good relationship with his God, he knew that no matter what happened, he was not going to drown. If you remember, Jesus was fully human, so he could have drowned just like all the others. But in the midst of the storm, he knew that God would protect him. The other disciples, even though they were close to Jesus, and even though they knew about God and his power, they were depending upon themselves to get themselves out of the situation. And when they realized that they couldn't get the water out of the boat, they began to panic and they began to be worried. Then one of them went down to find Jesus, saw him sleeping, and he said to him, "Don't you care about us? Don't you care that we're going to drown?" Jesus cares about us. But Jesus isn't as worried about the things around us as we are, because he knows that his Father will protect him, and he knows that his Father will protect us. What we need to do is to develop our relationship with Jesus and with God, so that when the storms in our life come, when the challenges come, instead of being worried and trying to think how we're going to get out of it, isn't that right, Luke? Instead of trying to think how we're going to get out of it, instead we need to just depend upon God and ask him to help us, to be with us in our storm. And you saw what happened. It's quite amazing. Jesus just said, "Peace, be still." And immediately the waters became calm. And that's what he can do for us as well. In the midst of our trouble, in the midst of our difficulty, we call out to God and he will calm that storm. Thank you, children, for sharing that wonderful story with us, that in spite of anything that's going on in our lives, God is there. Sometimes we think he's sleeping, but actually he's not sleeping. He knows what he's doing, and at the right time, he will rescue us. We don't have to worry about sinking underneath the trouble that we've got in our lives. All we need to do is to rely upon God. Now, I know, children, that you've been really busy working on a small demonstration of that story, and I'm going to ask you to show that to us now. Gospel Bites, the Bible in 60 seconds. Judges. The book of Judges is named after the figures, mostly male, that governed Israel after the death of Joshua. They were the highest civil authority in the land. Although they were administrators, in most cases they were called directly by God to fill a wider purpose, to deliver Israel from foreign oppression. It's not clear who is the author of Judges, but evidence suggests the book was written in the first 7 years of King David's reign as King of Israel. The theme of the book recounts the varied fortunes of the Israelites as they attempt to defeat the Canaanites and take control of the land. Although they were able to take the hill country, due to their apostasy and idolatry, they were unable to drive them from the plains, leading to constant strife and bondage. Judges shows us that God permits disaster to fall upon those who turn away from Him. However, with a true repentance, He will raise up a leader to deliver His people. And that's Judges in 60 seconds.